All right, artists, before we can get to carving our awesome linoleum blocks, we've got to talk safety. So this tool here is what we call a gouge tool, all right? And guess what? It's pretty sharp. The edge that actually cuts it, oof, it could hurt you. You may even want to be wearing gloves while you are using it. Now, these gloves, too thin. These gloves, too thick. Okay, guess what? You can just use some garden gloves, and that will help you to be safe while using that sharp U-gouge tool. Now, the way that you hold this tool is super important. You want to make sure that you get that bottom of it to fit right into the palm of your hand. Okay, you're going to want to make sure now that you wrap your fingers and your thumb around it, and you're going to take your index finger, and that's actually going to go right on top. You can see where you have your handle, and then you have that little extra piece of metal before your actual blade. And you're going to put your index finger there, and it's going to actually help you guide as you are carving. Amazing, right? So this is a really awesome way to make sure you're holding your tool. Now let's look at some ways that are not so awesome to be holding it. Now, while this is good that I have my fingers and my thumb wrapped around the handle, there's no index finger to help guide it. I definitely don't want to hold it in my palm like this, where it's sort of facing down and I don't have any fingers to help guide it. And I definitely want to make sure that I'm not holding it up on an angle without having my hands wrapped around it, so only my thumb and my index finger are moving it. So again, go ahead, put it in your palm. You want to make sure you wrap your hands and your thumb around it. Put your index finger on the top just below the blade. It'll help you glide it on your block. Now, as you use your hand to carve, you want to make sure your other hand that's holding your block in place is at the bottom and not above your blade. It is so important that we carve away from ourselves. Our blade should never be facing towards our body. It should always be facing up and away, and that's why our hand needs to also be down at the bottom. We don't want to be up at the top, so that our blade that is going up and away is accidentally going into our hand. So again, carve away from yourself and put your other hand down at the bottom. Now, as we carve, we want to lightly skim the surface. We don't want to dig out anything. We're not archaeologists here. Now let me show you what I mean by that digging. Here's an example of how not to carve. Again, holding the tool at too high of an angle and pushing in so hard to our block that it's really hard to move. We're not really able to guide it, and oh man, we're making big chunks come out of our block. Yikes. See too how my tool kind of keeps going up and down? It's like I can't really keep it in one position. That's because my finger's not guiding it and I'm pushing too hard. Now let's observe the correct way. I'm going to hold my tool again in my palm with my fingers and my thumb wrapped around. My index finger is going to guide it. Remember, I'm going to hold my block down at the bottom while my index finger helps guide my blade nice and lightly, right, skimming the surface, just lightly touching it, so that as I carve, little pieces start to come away. Now, once again, here's how not to do it. You guys can see I'm not holding the tool correctly. Why is my hand on the side of it? Uh-oh, I'm carving in too hard. I hurt myself. Oh. Okay, and now again, the correct way. I'm holding my block down at the bottom. Look how I'm holding my tool correctly, and the index finger is guiding it, and I'm going nice and slow, making sure I'm carving away from myself, not carving in towards my body. Success! All right, artists, now that we have reviewed how to safely and correctly hold our tool, carve into our block, remember, lightly we're skimming, hold our block with our other hand. Remember, we never want to hold it at the top where our blade might be and accidentally go into our hand, so we hold it at the bottom. And remembering to carve away from ourselves. Well, artists, I know you all are pros now, and you're going to do a fabulous job on your blocks, and I can't wait to see them.